Alrighty, students, so I really want to teach you guys the names of the bone song. And the way that I do this is I teach you 3 bones at a time, and we move down the entire body. By the end, you should know 21 bones, I believe, altogether. But anyway, so the rules are you have to say the name of the bone, and you have to point to the location. Otherwise, learning the song is kind of a moot point. And you're going to realize that the more you do the song, the more you do the movements, the more you're actually going to learn. And so when you guys are taking the names of the bone quiz, you might find that you're like, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus. Okay, that's the humerus. And then you type that in. I promise you, if you can learn this song, if you can learn this dance, you will know where these bones are for the rest of your life. Okay? So, we're going to start at the top, obviously, and then we're going to work our way down. So we learn 3 bones at a time, starting with the skull. So we learn skull, and you just touch your forehead, so ignore this hand. Skull. Then the next one is sternum. Sternum is where your ribs connect. It's right here in the middle. They also call it your breastplate or your breastbone. It's right here. So you're going to hit the center of your chest. You should feel it. It's a flat bone. When you guys learn CPR, that's where you do the hand placement. So skull, sternum. Then your clavicle is also known as your collarbone. So if you feel the front, kind of your chest going to your shoulder, there should be a long, thin bone right here. That is your clavicle. So in order, it goes skull, sternum, clavicle. And you have to touch all 3 of those and say the bone name. Okay? Now you're going to tell me I can't pronounce these words. Yes, you can. And if you cannot pronounce them, fun fact, it's really difficult to spell them. So you really do need to practice saying them. So we're going to start at the top. Okay? I'm going to do it first and we're going to do it together. All right? So we go skull, sternum, clavicle. Ready? Together. Skull, sternum, clavicle. The next part, we're actually going to go to the back. So there is a bone on the back. It's called your scapula, but it's actually your shoulder blade. So like a lot of times, people can do this thing where they can like pop out their shoulder blades and they look like angel wings. That's your scapula. So your scapula is back here, and you have to, excuse me, I always have to cross my arm to be able to get my right hand to my scapula. I actually broke my right clavicle when I was a junior in high school, so I actually can't reach all the way back there. I can with my left hand. But just not with my right. But I teach right-handed, so that's how we're going to learn it. So the next bone is scapula. Then your ribs. Your ribs, you guys should know where they are because you can feel them. They're right here along your side. They actually go all the way up here, and they go down to about the middle of your back. But we're going to touch right here for ribs. So we've got scapula, ribs, and then your spine goes down the middle of your back, and your spine has multiple names. Another name that you can call your spine is what's called a spinal column because your vertebrae, which make up your spine, stack up on top of each other, and they call that the spinal column. Now, for the sake of the song, we're going to say spinal column because if not, the words don't really fit if I go spine. So, what you do is you just take your thumb and you trace it down your back for spinal column. Okay, so just down the middle of your back where your spine is, spinal column. So the next 3 bones are scapula, rib, spinal column. Okay? So we're going to add that together. I'll show you, then we'll do it together. So it starts from the top going skull, sternum, clavicle. Scapula, rib, spinal column. Together. Ready? Here we go. Skull, sternum, clavicle. Scapula, rib, spinal column. Good. Now we're going to move out our hand. And if you look at the way I'm holding my hands up, this is called the anatomical position. So thumbs are up and my arms are by my side. So that way our ulna and radius are not crossed. If you're like, what's an ulna, what's a radius? Don't worry, I'm going to teach you. So the next bone is your humerus. Your humerus is here in your upper arm. One of my favorite students of all time told me he always remembers his humerus is here because his funny bone is right there, which your funny bone is actually a nerve. It's called your ulnar nerve, which actually relates back to the ulna bone. So anyway, the next 3 bones are humerus. Now your thumb side bone, that's going to be your radius. So the thumb, like the bone on the thumb upper side, is the radius. So even if I put my hand down, this is still my radius. This is my radius. So humerus, thumb side up, radius, bottom. On your pinky side, the bone that goes alongside of it, there's a long bone about yay big called your ulna. and your ulna is located here. Even if you twist your hand upward, that's still your ulna. But those bones can rotate. That's how you can turn your wrist. So, we've got radius is thumb, ulna, pinky. I always remember that because ulna starts with a U, pinky starts with a P. So it's RT, right, up. Radius thumb, ulna, pinky. Radius thumb, ulna, pinky, radius thumb, ulna, pinky. Typically, I say that like 1,000 times during class, but YouTube's going to put a limit on how long I can make this video, so we're going to shorten that up. So the next three bones are humerus, radius, ulna, bone. So humerus, radius, ulna, bone. Now this is really called an ulna, not an ulna bone. But again, same thing with like spinous process. I have to put that extra syllable in so that way the flow of the song goes well. So I'm going to show you from the top. I do, then we do. Ready? Here we go. Skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna, bone. Okay, next we're going to go into our hands. Now your hands, I wish I had my skeleton because then you could see it. Right here in the palm of your hand, you have like these little teeny tiny bones called your carpals. You can kind of feel them because if you feel right here, this right here, you feel that little bone right there that's sticking out. Sometimes you'll hit that on things and it hurts. It should feel like a marble on the bottom of your palm. That's one of your carpals. And you have, I believe 8 of them. And they sit right here. But we're going to hit right here and go carpals. Then you have metacarpals. Metacarpals are what make up your knuckles, and they're the long bones in your hand. Sometimes if you punch a wall because you think you're big, strong, and whatever, you can actually fracture these two metacarpals. Carpal starting with a C, carpal. And those will actually fracture. It's called a boxer's fracture because you just hit something. Makes sense. So don't do that. So anyway. Metacarpals are here, so carpals, then in the middle of your palm, metacarpals, and then your fingers are called your phalanges. That starts with a PH, like if you're fat, PH, pretty hot and tempting, phalanges, PH, pretty hot and anges, you know what I'm saying? So carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. Now the way that my anatomy teacher used to teach us, she would say that you steer a car with your carpals. Okay, so you steer a car with your carpals because those are in your hand. In your feet, you have something called tarsals, so don't get those confused. Carpals, tarsals, I know. We will figure that out and get that perfected in a second. So I'm going to show you, and then you will do, and I'll show you, then we'll do it together. Ready? Skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna, bone, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. Got it? You might have got caught up on that metacarpals. Let's try that one more time. Ready? Here we go. Skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna, bone, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. Now the beauty of this being a video, if you don't get that, you can always rewind it and practice it until you do. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move into our lower extremities. Okay, now another thing, it doesn't matter what hand you use to do radius ulna, as long as you follow that thumb pinky, you should be able to find it. So on this hand, it would go radius ulna, radius ulna. Does that make sense? Cool. So we're going to go into the lower extremities, and the next bone we're going to talk about is your pelvis. Your pelvis are your hip bones, and it's actually made up of a bunch of little bones. We're not going to learn each and every, fused bone that's in there. We're just going to learn the entire pelvis as it is. I'll know a lot of you guys have probably hit your hip on like the counter and you hit that bone right there. That little bone process is called your ASIS, your anterior superior iliac spine. Don't need to necessarily know that, but just a fun little fact for you. So you're going to find that ASIS. You're going to put your hand on your hip. So they're going to be right where that bone is because we know that's your pelvis. And you go pelvis because if you can spell Elvis, you can spell pelvis. Elvis, E-L-V-I-S. Pelvis, P-E-L-V-I-S. And Elvis used to dance using his pelvis. That was like what he was known for. If you don't know who Elvis is, he was a very famous singer way back in the day. Anyway, So we've got pelvis, pelvis. Then your thigh bones are actually called your femurs. Your femurs are the longest bones in your body. So they're on your thighs. So pelvis, femur. And then moving down, we've got our kneecaps. Your kneecaps are called your patellas. Patella. It's like Nutella. If you ever have that Nutella spread, the hazelnut, Mr. Coach Branch loves it. So if you're like, ooh, that's hard to say. Patella, Nutella. Just remember it that way, okay? But your patella. Your patella is your largest floating sesamoid bone. A sesamoid bone means like it's attached to muscle and it kind of floats around. So if you've ever touched your kneecap and you'd be like, oh my God, I can move it side to side and up and down and back and forth. Is that normal? Yeah, because it's a sesamoid bone. Okay, so that's the next three, so I'll put them together for you. Pelvis, femur, patella. Now I'm going to tie it all back in. I'll do, then we do. Skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna bone, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, pelvis, femur, patella. Now we've reached that point of the song where I have to actually move the camera down so you guys can see what we're doing. So can't see my hands, but that's okay. So anyway, you have a bone here. So here's our patella. This is your tibia. Tibias are on the inside. They're the bigger shin bone. So like I'm sure you guys have hit your shin bone on something and it really, really hurts right up here. This is your tibia. On the outside, this out here, this long bone on the outside, it actually goes all the way down to your ankles, and you can actually feel the head of it right here at the top. If you're a lady and you shave your legs, I can guarantee you've probably hit this bump and accidentally cut your legs. But anyway, this is your fibula. Your tibia holds most of your body weight. Your fibula only holds about 7 to 10% of your body weight. So sometimes if you roll your ankle, you can actually fracture your fibula on the outside, and you actually don't know it because it just looks like an ankle sprain until you get a x-ray. So the next bones, tibia, fibula. So inside, then outside. Tibia, fibula. Then the next bones are called tarsals. We talked about these briefly when I was talking about carpals. But tarsals are right down here. They're at the top of your foot. They're these tiny little bones that allow your ankle to move in multiple directions. In fact, your heel bone back here, that's called your calcaneus, that is a tarsal. There's a big bump on top, and on the side that's called your navicular. Actually, the one on top is your talus. Your talus is way back here. Anyway, they've got really cool names, cuneiform 1, cuneiform 2, talus, navicular. We're not going to get into those. I'm just teaching you the general area of where your tarsals are. Then because you have tarsals, you also have metatarsals, and then your toes are phalanges as well. So we're going to learn 5 bones at once because I can't break it down into 3 and 3. It would be 3 and 2. So it goes tibia, fibula, tarsal bones, metatarsals, which would be the middle of your foot, then phalanges, those are your toes. Those are the bones. I know all of these. So again, tibia, fibula, tarsal bones, metatarsals, phalanges. Those are the bones. I know all of these. Again, tibia, fibula, tarsal bones, metatarsals, phalanges. Those are the bones. I know all of these. Okay, so now I'm going to raise my camera back up. And I'm going to go through the entire dance once. And then I will do, and then we will do together. And then you can practice by yourself. All right? So, here we go. Skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna bone, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, pelvis, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsal bones, metatarsals, phalanges. Those are the bones. I know all of these. Okay? So let's do it together. And I'm not going to slow it down so you can see my feet. We're just going to do it like we normally would in class. Alrighty? My face is kind of cut off. That's okay. Skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna, bone, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, pelvis, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsal bones, metatarsals, phalanges. Those are the bones. I know all of these. Again, skull, sternum, clavicle, scapula, rib, spinal column, humerus, radius, ulna, bone, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, pelvis, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsal bones, metatarsals, phalanges. Those are the bones. I know all of these. All right? So that is the names of the bones dance. I actually have a song that goes a lot faster. It's like skull, sternum, clavicle. Anyway, a lot of fun. If you would like to practice to that, you can, but I would suggest that you practice this song on your own. I will put up a assignment that would be a funner assignment. I'm still working out the details on it, but hopefully that helps y'all. Miss you.